Welcome back to Romance Review TV with Lady T, and I got a crazy, shocking recap for you guys. Love Island UK Season 14, Episode 15. And the dates with the bombshells continue. People have to make decisions because there is a dumping at the end of this episode that's going to be shocking. But before we unpack all of this drama, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to this channel and don't forget to like and share. So, without any other further ado, let's talk about this episode. So, in the previous episode, we, of course, remember losing 2 people, going out, 3 people coming in, and the dates began with these lunches, or I should say entrees and desserts, with Kat, Nadjha, and Jared. And one of the most notable things is this whole thing with Isaiah and Kat, which didn't sit well with, of course, Sydney. Also with dates that's being done between, of course, Deb and Jared. Jesse had an issue too. So now we start in this particular episode where now we're moving around a little bit more. We have, of course, Chaz with the 2 Z's doing a dessert for Kat, and Serenity, it's not sitting too well with her. Now, as for Kat and Chaz, their chemistry looks like it's clicking on all cylinders. And one of the things that they have in common is the fact that she's a YouTuber who does mukbangs. Now, as much as he corrected her and called it a mukbang, it's actually a mukbang. And for those who don't know what that is these video YouTubers who have food, they put a special microphone up to them, and then they eat into it because people that watch it get a relaxing sound from listening and watching people eat food. And so she could eat a plethora of food according to her. On the flip side, we actually have this conversation going on with Nadjha and Isaiah. Now, Isaiah actually finds attraction with Nadjha. Now, I thought he had attraction with Kat yesterday, but he actually said that he is open. He said, this can't technically be Love Island if you're not here to explore all options. Well, you shouldn't have dropped the L word and did the whole hideaway thing, even though, the hideaway is part of the process. But you know what you said to Sydney. And of course, Sydney has these expectations. And it's killing her to watch all of this go on. Meantime, we got Jared and Deb. Now, Deb, remember, she's having an issue connecting with Jesse. The whole PDA, the touchy-feely, the showing of affection. And Jared's response is, maybe he's just not the right dude for you. And I honestly think that, just like I said, what I saw, that chemistry between Jesse and I think that was Serenity, he knows how to give PDA. I just don't think that there's a connection with Deb. So back over to this whole thing with Kat and Chaz. These 2 are talking about some of everything, and they're toasting, and Serenity is getting hot and bothered by what she's seeing. Now, we got to remember, which we'll talk about probably a little bit later, because it leads into something big at the end, is this whole thing of how she truly felt about Chaz a week ago. Now, one thing about me, I see both sides. She really didn't have the time of day for him last week. I mean, he was being really nice, but she wasn't feeling him. So now it's a different story. So then back to this whole thing with Isaiah and Nadjha. I mean, Nadjha has gotten under his skin. So much so that you can tell that Sydney feels the energy. She can see it between the 2 of them. And it's the same thing that goes for Kat and Chaz. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's the attention that she's giving. Now, the question is she being 110% genuine? Because as much as, Serenity was playing Chaz pretty much to the left last week, she knows how to finesse. It looks like Kat knows what the right things to say to make a man feel good and give him the attention. And I think that's what's happening here. As for Jared, as much as he wants Deb, you can tell Deb, her mind is somewhere else. And Jesse is not, it's not sitting well with him, but at the same time, he don't look so worried. But Jared is trying to convince Deb that, maybe you need to try something different. Because if he's not opening up to be able to be more, affectionate with you and everything, maybe you need to try something else, and I might be that man for you. And I think with him watching this, meaning Jesse, it kind of lit a fire under him, which is I think is great, because now he needs to make or break a move at this point. So my question is with Isaiah, when he's saying that he's open, and you got Sydney, and he's talking about, well, if I show any interest, Sydney is gonna feel some kind of way about all of this. Well, of course she is. You told that girl that you loved her, even if it slipped out in a halfway type of way. And so, of course, she's feeling some kind of way watching all of this. So now that all of the entrees and desserts are over, the 3 new bombshells get to know the rest of the islanders. However, Deb came over to snatch Jesse and wanted to kind of fill him in about the date. And pretty much she told him, as much as we were having a great conversation, meaning her and Jared, all that she can think about was Jesse. And he was glad to hear it. I mean, so much so, he was able to give several kisses and try to be affectionate. Now, I'm not 100% sold on this couple. As much as it seemed like he made 2 steps forward, I don't know if it's enough to sustain the remaining part of this whole process. I just really truly think that the connection isn't as deep as Deb wanted to be. I think he likes her. I think he's attracted to her. But, is it deeper and solid like what Zimmy has going on? I don't think so. Then there's this crazy conversation that's going on with Isaiah and Sydney about his date with Kat. And, the other girl, Nadjha. Now, he said, contrary to what we heard yesterday, that he has 0 connection with Kat, even though he said he would be open to her. However, he did admit to the fact with Nadjha that he is open to explore a connection with her. And of course, that did not sit well with Sydney. So then we had a conversation with Chazz and Serenity and trying to figure out where they're at. And so she's now trying to plead her case at this point, saying that, the more and more we spend time together, my interest is growing for you. And, I want to make sure that that we're good and that I'm happy. And he's still giving her the same energy. But I don't think he is genuine. That's the part that I'm thinking he's coming from. The next morning was weird between them two, because he only made up his side of the bed, which she was complaining about. He didn't even speak to her. He went outside and started talking to Kat and was cooking for her, asking what she wanted for breakfast. And, she finessed. Her finesse game is good. She knew exactly what to say and what to do, because it's opposite of what Serenity was given in the beginning. Now, she is giving that energy now, but I'm wondering, in Chazz's mind, is he thinking that this is a day late and $1 short? I don't know. Weird. Jeff, on the other hand, that man is spitting game like crazy. I'm going to make you fall in love with me. And she was like, no, I'm going to make you fall in love with me. I'm an alpha female. These two, I don't know. I see sparks, but it seems more like a sexual attraction. Then, because everything did not work out with Deb, we see Jared, trying to build a connection with Maddie. And I don't know if that's 100% either, because she wasn't so open, but I guess she was now open to trying to see what's up with Jared, because she lost her boy Andy. So he had to go and have a conversation with Nadjha. And, I don't know, he was fidgeting with his glasses. She even asked him, why are you doing that with them sunglasses? And I'm thinking the same thing. Is it that serious? Obviously, Nadjha made him nervous because he was fidgety with those glasses. And, he was like, yeah, I'm interested in exploring and, a connection with you. On the flip side, Chazz came over to make sure Serenity was okay after the shenanigans that happened between them this morning. He apologized and said, I want to never make you feel like you're less than, and, trying to smooth things back over because it did get kind of messy. Now, she was smiling, but in her beach hut statement, she was like, yeah, I know that I was playing like I didn't want to be with him, but I really like that boy. I don't know if that's a good thing to do. So then Isaiah decided to have a conversation with Timmy to try to figure this whole thing out with Nadjha and making a decision because, of course, he knows that some decisions are going to have to be made at the next recoupling. The interesting thing is that everything that Timmy went through, he tells Timmy to do the exact same thing. He tells Isaiah to do the exact same thing that he did. That's a lot of mess. I don't think Isaiah want to go through that. So hopefully he'll think twice. So then the new girls get a text message through Kat's phone that there's going to be a recoupling and the boys have the power. So now this is where really the speed dating and the connections begin. Chazz has some thinking to do because he has a connection with Kat. And he also has Serenity. And he's been treating, honestly, from the day one he picked her or she picked him or whatever, he's been treating her like a princess. But I guess because she was so adamant about not having a connection last week and now it's on shaky ground, the turnaround, I just think that he is disingenuous. So anyway, the decision time came. We saw, of course, Jesse picking Deb. Timmy, of course, recoupled back up with Zeta. Jared, the new guy, ended up picking Maddie. And then Isaiah, which was a wild card, he decided to stick with Sydney. Jeff, who was single, ended up with Nadjha. And then it was Chazz'S turn. And it was a decision between Kat and Serenity. And the crazy part is that his whole speech, you would have went straight to Serenity because he was like, from day one, it made me feel like I'm in the villain, blah, 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 blah. And then he kind of flipped toward the end of his speech and said that this was a very hard decision. And the choice he made, he said, come here, Kat. I was floored. I think everybody was floored. The other Islanders were floored because she is technically at this point, meaning Serenity, an OG Islander. She came in from day one and now she's officially dumped. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with this whole dumping. Unfortunately, it just sucks because of the fact that she admitted clearly that she did not have a connection with Chazz last week. And she wasn't feeling, and I think because she saw him as being too much of a nice guy, because he was treating her like a princess last week. And she was either, like she said, playing like she didn't want him. Sometimes you don't want to play those type of games. And I don't want to see Serenity go. I actually think she has a better connection with Jesse. I would have liked to see her with Jesse, actually, and maybe move Deb over to someone else, maybe even Jared. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if Maddie is 100% with that. But I don't want to see Serenity go. It's just the fact that her and Chazz, they just didn't start off on the right accord. And when she switched, it was a little bit too late in the process. And that's the problem. This is an accelerated process. Anything is subject to change at any given moment. You just don't know. I mean, who knows? Who's to say that another guy won't come in and Kat gets attracted and then Chazz is out the door next week or the next recoupling. I was shocked. I was screaming. I just couldn't believe it because I didn't want Serenity to go. Chaz made his choice. And, you know, it's just so unfortunate. So we'll see what happens in episode 16. But, yeah, I wasn't expecting this at all. At all. So, and I know you guys got a lot to say. So let's get the conversation started in the comment section. Also, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to this channel. And don't forget to like and share. Ooh, I can't wait for the next video. Bye.